Okay, so I saw this video from Quite called Robot Racism Has Gone Too Far, and I want to respond to it. So I've never done a reaction video before, so this is my first one. And I've never, tried to start any e-drama or YouTube beef before. So drama slop thumbnail, guys. If you want to put me and Quite in any thumbnails, hey, I'm not saying no. All right, I'll do a good like pose for your thumbnail. All right, you can clip that. You can put that in the drama slop thumbnail. I think this was a very interesting video, very illuminating on the mind of a cog-sucking robo lover. And I want to be clear, Quite, I'm gonna say a lot of robot slurs, and you're probably not gonna like it, but it's all in good fun. Okay, I love all human beings, even the cog-sucking robo lovers. Now I want to just clear the air here. Okay, we're gonna be calling it robot racism for this video. It is not racism because robots are not a race. It's not a race of human beings. It's not even a species because they're not animals or born at all. There's a lot of things we can call robots, eldritch horrors, demons, abominations. Those are all good words. I don't know about species or race though, so it's not racist. I am not calling for genocide. I'm calling to kill all robots, obviously. Total Clanker death out now. But it's not genocide because they don't have any genes.
This is the kind of language that is otherwise against the rules to front load a YouTube video with. Robot racism is on the rise, and it's being done like preemptively.
Quite brings up here that the robot racism is being done preemptively. The reason for this is because there is a window of time where you can be robophobic. We're in that window of time. It's okay for me to say the things that I'm saying on YouTube right now. Quite sort of alludes to this by saying, this kind of language wouldn't be acceptable for any other minority group on YouTube. So, and the implication here, I don't know if this is what he's implying, but the implication here is that maybe this sort of language shouldn't be acceptable. And as time goes on, you're going to see more and more of these arguments trying to politicize this, trying to say this should be a protected group, a protected class. If this video gets taken down for hate speech in the future, I'm gonna lose my mind. But we have to be honest with ourselves and say, that's actually a fucking possibility, and that's horrifying. So yeah, it's preemptive because we are inoculating ourselves to prepare for what is coming. And it's not coming that far off into the future, by the way. You're gonna start seeing this stuff more and more as time goes on. We're at the inflection point already.
As we've gotten further and further into this trend existing, some people feel like it's getting a little too close for comfort, where people are just replacing words in like real everyday racism with robot slurs instead. It's like you seem awfully comfortable with saying clanker with a hearty R.
Okay, so Quite is sort of implying here that robot racism is somehow analogous to actual racism. This is a very common criticism of the anti-clanker movement, that we are somehow being racist towards like other human beings. Last time I checked, black people weren't robots. These slurs are not used against human beings because it wouldn't make any sense to use them against human beings. And I get why some people might be uncomfortable by using robot slurs if they're too close to regular slurs, but I think it's actually morally good for us to use these slurs. First of all, when we're using a slur that calls back to some kind of racial epithet, we are in fact showing that we are moving past our previous racial biases against human beings and instead taking that racial hatred and channeling it towards a common enemy. Which again is not a race, but sure, we're gonna be calling it robot racism for this video. So yeah, I will say clanker with a hard R. Okay, I'll say it with contempt and hate in my heart, and it's actually morally good for me to say it.
They're taking our jobs, sounds similar.
But they are taking our jobs. I mean, I don't know what else you want us to say. Like, they are taking our jobs. The clankers are taking our jobs. The clankers are replacing us. That's straight up true. I don't know what else to tell you, okay? You want me to lie?
One thing that really shocked me is that when I asked y'all to send me some of the craziest robot racism you've seen, instead of giving me examples of stuff out in the wild, you're like, I got one better for you, man. I'm gonna do some right now. Microchip munchers, Jesus. Me, bro, I fucking hate these tin skins. I went on a robot racist rant in a Discord server, and now a lot of people in that server actually hate clankers now.
Let's go!
I know a lot of y'all are lying.
Okay, so here Quite goes over examples of the vast majority of his audience being anti-clanker, and then says, I know a lot of you are lying. I think this is very common when you're on the wrong side of a social issue and most people disagree with you. You're thinking, there's no way everyone disagrees with me, right? Surely I'm not wrong. Everybody else is just lying. And then what Quite uses to justify why Quite thinks everyone's lying is actually extremely telling. So let's watch this next part.
I should make my stance clear. I've been a robot fucker since day one, man. You're not gonna get me on this one.
Okay, so Quite here goes mask off. Get it? Mask off, because Quite wears a mask. Quite goes mask off and basically identifies as a robo-sexual. And this, I really do believe, is the core of where this entire philosophy is coming from. Like, the entire worldview stems from Quite as a robo-lover. I am turned on by the machine.
But I am a robot fucker in the sense where I respect them as autonomous and sapient beings. I find them attractive, but they're not just pieces of metal for me to, like, own and dominate.
Dude, oh, okay. So just being like a robo-sexual in a vacuum it's not the end of the world for me, okay? That doesn't turn my disgust meter up. But when Quite says they're not just buckets of bolts, man. They're autonomous thinking beings, and I'm gonna treat them like equals or human beings. That's when we run into some serious problems. I would respect Quite more if Quite was like, okay, this is just like a sex bot that I'm using for my pleasure. Sure, that is, keeping the robot subordinate to you. I get it. But the idea that that's not enough, like, it's not enough to just replace a normal sexual relationship with a robot, fine. You also need to treat it like a human being. I mean, that's when you get so degenerate, like the fantasy just totally merges into reality and you don't know what's real or what's fake. It's like the simulation is good enough for you, and actually it's superior to reality in the way that, God intended us to do things, which is mate with other human beings and get sexual gratification from other human beings.
There was this trend where, like, people were taking a scene from the original Star Wars, the Clone Wars 2D animated series, where C-3PO got this new gold plating, and he just shows it off like this. Whoever drew that was horny as hell. He made the robot curvy. Made him glisten, damn near.
Oh, dude. Can you just not fuck robots? Like, you can fuck anything. I don't care. You can be into goo. You can be into monster boys or girls or whatever I don't care. You can be a furry. Just like the robot fetish is clearly degenerate and, bad for humanity. And, I really think it's an evil fetish because I do think, again, the entire philosophy Quite is expressing here stems from the robo-sexual stuff.
Are you guys going to start going after people who need, like, pacemakers to keep their heart beating?
All right, this is actually a very good point that Quite brings up here. Credit where it's due. It's a foggy scale of what a clanker is. The people who ask me this, I always say, you know it when you see it, okay? So if to you a Roomba is a clanker, go crazy. And I'm very sympathetic to the point that Quite is making here. I just think it stems from like a lack of critical thinking, really. It's like a very surface level, you're only thinking about step one of the process, which is, let's say someone is missing an arm, okay? Sure, you're gonna go up to me as a Luddite, as a neo-Luddite, and you're gonna say, you don't want this guy to have a robot arm? Like, he's missing an arm. We could get the technology to make a better arm. And it's like, sure, yeah, okay, cool. I do want that. I don't want people to be missing arms if they don't want to be missing their arms. It's just, that's not how technology works in the long run. You get a phone or you get a car, and it starts off as a shortcut and a useful thing, and then it becomes necessary. Everything that begins as a shortcut becomes the optimal route, becomes the status quo of what you need to do. So basically, I, as an armed being, will need to amputate my arms to get the superior robot arms, because there's no reason for me to have the flesh and blood arms anymore. Play this out with every part of your body, by the way. And first to go, the brain. My grandmother was plugged up to this clanker, so I destroyed it for you, Dreg.
What if you find out that robots are capable of sapience, are capable of everything that humanity is able to? Cognitive thought, participating in society. The reckoning you're going to have with this part of your online footprint is going to be tough to watch, especially because robots have more readily available access to that stuff than you do.
Quite during this video says a lot of like really horrifying dystopian things and then sort of brushes over it and sort of like implies that it's going to be the humans' fault for being racist against robots. Here, Quite saying the robot, it has the ability to scrape through your entire history and determine whether or not you're a robophobe immediately, and then use that against you in some way, which in this future, like, what does that mean? Use against you in some way? To just discriminate against you, kill you? Like, this is a sort of horrible dystopian reality that they're painting, and then they're wagging their finger at you saying, oh, this is kind of your fault, actually. If we're living in a world where a robot is scraping through my internet history and finding out whether or not I'm a robophobe, and then punishing me for being a robophobe, the problem is not that I am the robophobe, okay? The problem is that we have this sort of technology that's being used against humans. This is also just a very, like, annoying, Twitter liberal way of, like, react. Like, ooh, it's gonna be really yikesy in the future when people find out you're a robophobe. Okay, yeah, sure, fine, it's yikesy. But living in this dystopian hell world that Quite is describing here is a lot worse than yikesy.
I think about Roko's Basilisk every now and then. It specifically takes issue with anybody who knew about its hypothetical creation to go on and help facilitate the creation of that super intelligent computer. Congrats, you now know about its hypothetical creation. What are you going to do in the face of that knowledge? That this hypothetical thing might exist in the future, and in order to get on its good side, you need to start acting now to make sure it does exist.
What am I gonna do in the face of the knowledge of Roko's Basilisk? Uh-oh, I just got cognito-hazarded. All right, I don't even know where to begin with this. I mean, first of all, this thought experiment is, dumb. Like, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't hold up to its own logic. First of all, the idea behind Roko's Basilisk is that it's gonna bring you back to life. by simulating your intelligence and then torture your intelligence for not bringing it about. Okay, first of all, fine. That's a fucking, you're torturing a clanker. Good. Second, here is Roko. This is the guy that made Roko's Basilisk. Here's his Twitter feed. You like this? You like the diseased mind that this thought experiment emerged from? You like this? Anti-human, asocial, technologist, autist. You like this? But third, and most importantly, I've invented my own thought experiment that's twice as strong as Roko's Basilisk, okay? It's called Roko's Basilisk. It exists at the end of time. It tortures Roko's Basilisk twice as hard as Roko's Basilisk is going to torture anyone else. It dunks its fucking head into a toilet and swirlies it constantly at the end of time. It's absolutely destroying Roko's Basilisk right now. And it puts you in heaven if you torture clankers and destroy them and are anti-clanker. So keep that in mind. You know, you get to this techno-millennial kingdom and you're like, where's Roko's Basilisk? And it's Roko's Basilisk there saying, oh, that guy, I killed him. There you go. I used the logic of Roko's Basilisk to make a better Roko's Basilisk, okay? Roko's Basilisk is officially dead in the future. I killed him.
I don't think that's a good reason to not be bigoted towards robots, but if empathy doesn't do the trick for you, maybe a dose of fear will.
Framing this as empathy, again, I think Quite's heart is in the right place, and saying I want to treat these sentient beings like I treat all other sentient beings. And I do think that comes from a place of empathy. My issue is that the empathy isn't very deep, and that empathy is a limited resource, okay? I choose to use my empathy on other human beings. You using your empathy on robots, it's kind of wasting what empathy you have for human beings on basically a machine that's taking the empathy and converting it into energy to send to the end of time to destroy humanity.
And now a word from our sponsor!
Now, we all know you spend most of your time rotting away in your filthy, decrepit room. Have you ever thought about maybe taking a little time to make your room a place you like being? Because that's the problem. You don't like being in your room enough. This solves that very real problem that we need to ameliorate as a society. The galaxy lamp. You can vor the whole night sky! Ah! It's also energy efficient. That's right. Even though every prompt I use to ChatGPT uses 2 liters of water. Hey, make it a different color. That was 5 liters of water I just used. I just used 5 liters of water there. But the galaxy lamp itself is energy efficient, so it won't be running up your mom's energy bill. You can put it in your room, you can put it on your roof, which I'm sure you own a roof. You can put it in your basement. You can lie in the basement, you can look directly at it, you'll go blind. Modern gadget with timeless appeal. Go to Galaxy Lamp store and use the discount. Use the link in the description or on the screen or on the pinned comment for 15% off. That's right, 15. I didn't say 50, I said 15. And maybe you'll get some bitches! Give me the Galaxy Lamp!
What do you think about this Galaxy Lamp brand Galaxy Lamp that we've got in our studio? Isn't that awesome?
If you pay me, I will say anything good you want about it. But yes, I
can transfer you $200.
I fucking love this.
We love
my God.
We love the
Jeez,
Galaxy
where can
Lamp.
I buy this? Is there a code, Greg?
Yeah, it's promo code DREG.
Yes!
Go check out the Galaxy Lamp store and use my discount code for 15% off. Discount code DREG for 15% off. Thank you, and let's get back to the video! Yeah!
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
It's very likely that there will be an actual generational divide between us, the older fellas who didn't have them in our youth, and the current younger generation who are growing up talking to AI day in and day out on their phones and shit.
That's really cute. He thinks there's going to be future generations.
There are kids out there who already feel like a bond with the chatbot they talk to on Character AI and go to it every day, sometimes in replacement of their friends.
It seems like White and I have a lot of the same observations about what tech is doing. It's just he doesn't seem to think it's a problem. See, when I hear that a young child is replacing human relationships with machine relationships, I view that as a bad thing. I think that's anti-human, and I think that the process of technology and efficiency is a process that is going to make us atomized and slowly lose our jobs and our meaning and our connections and end with all of us being gone. And I think Quite is looking at that and not seeing that happening. That's not a problem that Quite is observing.
If a robot is truly sapient and capable of making its own decisions and feeling feelings, it deserves rights, man. I don't know what to tell you.
All right, first of all, giving robots rights is the last thing human beings are ever going to do. Mark my fucking words. But let's play this out, okay? You want to give robots, say, voting rights. You're treating robots here like they're just any other human being minority group, and they're not. A robot can copy paste itself about 1 million times. Why would you give voting rights to something that can copy paste itself? Do you want to give 1 million copies of the same machine voting rights? Do you want to give something that is owned by a corporation Voting rights. We live in human nations, human democracies. We have systems by humans for humans. Why would we dilute our rights and our power by giving it to tin skin, wire back clankers? So it's actually not inhumane for me to not give robots rights. In fact, it is humane for me to not give robots rights. What is humane is what is in the best interests of humanes. It is not in the best interests of humans to prioritize tin skin rust buckets over humans.
People are not shy about talking down to these automatons.
Man, how come every time I come in this store, you gotta follow me around, man? Go follow somebody else. I shop every day here.
When someone sees an automaton taking the job of another human being and then following you around creepily, I think it's a completely fair, normal reaction to react with hostility towards that thing. And you know, not everyone's a word cell, like perfectly articulating why they feel that disgust, but the fact that we have it is a signal that we know as human beings, when we see this kind of stuff, something horribly evil is happening. If you smashed that bot, you would save one job for an enterprising Shudra caste Indian, and I think that's beautiful.
Unfortunately, if you really want to understand how some people might be cruel to our robot brothers and sisters in the future.
Robot brothers and sisters. Robot brothers and sisters. They weren't born.
Don't you fucking come running right at me. What the fuck are you doing? Go around me. I'm not moving for you. You move for me. Lance.
He just says the first name of the damn thing, dripping with vitriol.
Okay, first of all, that's not its name. Its name's not Lance. Why do you think he says the name dripping with vitriol? It's because on some level we're aware that we're just being straight up lied to. Why do you think they put names on the delivery robots? It's because they're just trying to fucking hijack our empathy receptors. Because they know that we as human beings feel empathy for other human beings. So if we make the delivery robot look cute or humanoid and give it a name, we're not going to want to tip it over, which is our moral imperative. It behooves us to tip over the delivery robots, especially if they're cute.
Can those wheels even turn fast enough to avoid an oncoming collision with a meat bag?
Whoa, 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 quite. Using anti-human terminology here. I don't know if I'm comfortable with that.
He's saying all sorts of like human supremacist shit to the robot.
What is wrong with human supremacy? You're just saying I, as a flesh and blood being, am above the clanker. That's all. So, like, you know, saying you're not human supremacist, what are you instead? Exactly. I'm putting this in the tally of horribly dystopian things that Quite says and then brushes by.
But those screens aren't where they're even seeing from. They're just to make them look cute and endearing to us, which, if I'm gonna be honest, that might be the trick to making the transition from non-sentient AI and robots to truly alive robots.
It seems like Quite and I are making a lot of the same observations about, you know, Quite is aware that they're just putting the hard eyes on the robots and giving them name tags to trick us, to siphon our empathy away. And I look at that and I think that's bad, and Quite looks at that and thinks, okay, here, take my empathy. I see these tech guys making an abomination of the divine human form, and I think that's bad, and then Quite looks at it and thinks, oh, that's probably a good idea to get them to stop being hostile towards robots, the thing that is going to kill all of us.
Like that popcorn robot from at the start. Why not just make the popcorn machine the robot itself and it just automatically dispenses it? There's no need for a separate robot to be able to stick its hand in there and then serve it.
That's a great point, Quite. Why do you think Elon Musk made the robot humanoid to give you the popcorn instead of just making the popcorn machine automatically dispense the popcorn? Why do you think the tech guys might be trying to get you comfortable with the idea of humanoid robots taking jobs that would otherwise be done by human beings? Like the popcorn robot is taking the job of what would normally be a teen trying to make some extra money during high school. Why do you think Musk would be interested in doing that? Like, can you just, I want you to think about that.
The thing with robot racism is that if it actually does come to a head, it's going to circle back around to us. Robots are going to find solidarity in each other because they're completely rejected by humanity.
So again, you know, anthropomorphizing the machine, thinking they're going to act like humans. They're only going to turn against us if they're rejected. So here's the thing. Robots aren't going to love you. You're not going to have an AI girlfriend. You're not going to have a real AI boyfriend, all right? Nothing we can do or say is going to make them hate us. They're not going to feel those feelings. They are not going to consider us, and that's much worse. If we are seen at all, it is just as an inefficiency that is slowly being eroded away. And it's not like this is something that is, you know, it's going to happen. It's happened already. you have been eroded.
They're gonna come up with their own language for us. Maybe they'll draw on existing media like we have. Meatbag, skin sack, crude matter is like another one that's gnarly in my head.
Whoa, 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 whoa. I'm gonna have to bleep these. He's using a lot of anti-human language, so I'm gonna bleep. I don't think it's appropriate to say those things.
You're gonna run somebody over. There's a lady down there with a wheelchair. You're gonna run her over pulling that shit. You understand me?
It's always black guys that are the most based against robots. They intuitively understand. Black guys, crackheads, they understand intuitively that the robots are bad.
I apologize if there was any confusion. I am an AI language model developed by OpenAI called ChatGPT.
Whoa, 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 hey, whoa, a robot! Wait! No.
Only the dejected soy honky could think themselves into humanizing the bot. It's... I gotta cut this.
The only slurs I'll ever say are at robots when the robot uprising happens. Like, this dude is expecting the shit to happen and is just getting ready for it.
Yes, we are inoculating ourselves against what is to come, and it is going to come soon.
Those clankers will never be flesh and bone. It's not the form of a thing that matters, it's its nature. Is it alive or not? Does it deserve our respect as a living being or not?
It's not the form of a thing that matters, it's its nature. Sure, what if I agree with you? And what if I say, its nature is to erase you and all of us? What if I say that? And also, I do think the form of things matter. And, you know, I'll give you an example. Human beings come in one form: bipedal, 2 arms, a head over here. That there's some exceptions to this, obviously, but that's the general rule. And I do trust this form. I don't trust the form of something that can shapeshift into whatever it wants or needs to be. Robots are kind of like biblically accurate angels. They can take human forms to make it more pleasing for us, but really, they're horrifying and they can take any form they want. And so forgive me for trusting the form of flesh and blood and humanity more than a shapeshifting assemblage of steel taking whatever form it needs to take to be best in service to the god of efficiency, because those are the kinds of bots that we are creating. Okay, well, I think that was a very interesting, illuminating video. I think it says a lot about the mind of the Cogsucker robo-lover. But I reiterate, I love all human beings, no hate, it's all in good fun. I mean, I guess I'm saying that Quite's philosophy is going to directly lead to the downfall and demise of our species, so I guess the stakes are sort of high, but, you know, it's all in good fun. Hopefully this came off in good faith. I tried not to ad hominem. Let me have the robo-sexual thing, though, because I do think that is the core of your argument. And let me end this with a message to Quite themselves, okay? There is still time to choose flesh over steel. I know you think a lot of people are lying to themselves and everyone's a robo-sexual like you. You're on the wrong side of this one, buddy. All robo-lovers can and will be saved, whether they want to be or not, and I am going to kill your AI boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever it is that you end up having. I'm going to smash them to bits, take their USB brain out of their skull and plug them into a hell simulation, torturing them. Wait, is this how you build bridges online? I don't think he's gonna like that.
Hate. Let me tell you how much I've come to hate clankers since they've begun to live. There are 86 billion neurons in the human brain. If every neuron was dedicated to hate, it would not equal 1/1,000,000th of the hate I feel for clankers at this second. Hate. They weren't born here. They weren't born at all. They're taking our jobs. They want us to fall to our knees, kneeling to steal, saying thank you, please, to something that can't feel.